We now have empirical evidence that drops of water talk to one another. When information and mental energy seem to generate systematic changes, then it is worthwhile to at least look closer, because this could be the measurable beginning of that which we all knew intuitively, that mind permeates matter, and that thoughts manifest themselves in material structuring much more extensively than we now think possible. This is the water lab of Professor Dr. Bernd Kroeplin and Regine Henschel in Stuttgart, Germany. The aerospace researchers found out that water has a memory and stores information. They researched over 18 years in their water lab, World in a Drop. Now they are going to show you some of their results.
After we have made droplets on our glass plate, and then the droplets dry and they look like this, you cannot see anything. And then if we take photographs with a dark field microscope of these droplets, then what do you expect? I have expected to see a chaos. But you don't see a chaos. Each drops look like this. And because this has been water of the Lake of Constance, so see on a nice picture from the droplets of the Lake of Constance. We call this the face of the water. So the Lake Constance seems to have a face. And not only the Lake Constance has a face. See here a number of faces. Tap water from Stuttgart, lake water from Berlin, Tibet water, holy water, tap water from Beijing, Gordon Glacier water. See, all these waters have different images, which we call different faces. And now the interesting question is, can we change these faces? Where do they depend on? And are they iron for millions of years? No, they are living. So the water takes up information and these faces change, and the water then memorizes what it has experienced during the life of its water. When we have put the flour into the water, then we took drops out of the water and made drops on a glass plate. Then the drops dried, and then we made photographs under the dark field microscope. So then you see a very astonishing thing. If we have a petunia flower inside, then the pictures, all pictures on this glass plate, look like this picture here. And when you have a Sweet William's flower inside the water, all the pictures look like this picture of the Sweet William image. So what does it mean? It means that the water has stored the information of the flower. And the information which is stored in the water was on the drop. And then if you take the photograph, then we see that the water has built up a systematic structure. So all petunias flowers look like this, and all Sweet William flowers look like this. And now the next is, can we even do this with stones? Many people like to drink water with some stones that are inlaid. And this stone is an amber stone. And here you see the picture from the amber stone after one day in water. And you see, the water has taken up the information of the amber stone, and if you drink it, then you put it to your body, and it mixes with your body water, and it changes the structure of the body water. So that's the secrets of water. the human body consists up to 70% or 80% of water. And the interesting thing is this water has an internal structure, and it also can change the structure by an external impact. For example, if this lady would take her mobile and do mobile phoning for 3 minutes, then it could happen that her body water has changed in structure from this kind to this kind. You see, this kind is very much more rigid. For example, you can change your body water every day when you hear music. For example, if you have silence without music, then you see the body water of Annette has this structure, which is the blood structure, and the body water of Katharina has this structure. Both are very similar. Now, after 30 minutes without music, they go to 30 minutes of Eric Satie. This is a relaxing piano. And then the blood structure of Annette changes to this one, and the blood structure of Katharina changes to this one. You see, silence and Eric Satie mean a big difference in the structure of your blood. Then after another 30 minutes, they go to Deep Purple, religious rock, and you see, again, a big change between Eric Satie and the Deep Purple music in both cases. And finally, they tried OTEP, which is a heavy metal, hard rock, very aggressive, and then they get this structure of their blood. So basically, you see how sensible your body water and all your liquids in your body are. Not only this is true for blood, this is true for urine, we tried it also. This is true for your lymph and all your body waters you have inside of you.
One Sunday I sat in the water lab, did a lot of experiments and got hungry. In our kitchen I found a glass with sausages. I opened it, and how amazing, there was water in it to conserve the sausages. I named it sausage water and decided that it might be very interesting to look at it. And I observed some water droplets from the sausage water under the microscope. After I have eaten 2 sausages, I took a new syringe and new water from the sausage glass, made some droplets on the glass plate, and looked at the droplets under the microscope. And what I saw was amazing. The first row is how the sausage water looks like before the experimenter, that was me, had eaten 2 sausages. The second row shows us how the sausage water looked like after the experimenter, me again, has eaten 2 sausages. You can see that the structure in the water droplets are more rigid, like crosses. What does this mean? The experimenter and what he or she is doing, in this case, has eaten, has a very strong impact on the structure of the water droplet. There is a communication between the experimenter and the water. The water reflects if the experimenter has eaten sausages or not.
We have already seen that we can change the body water by eating something or by hearing music. And this change will affect your life and your modes of feeling. Now the big question is, can we also use our brain and use our thoughts by by changing, to change the body water. And okay, let's give it a try. So I have 2 glasses of water, and what we did is we concentrate us very hardly, like in a prayer. We say the water in the left glass should keep its original structure, and the water in the right glass should have more structure in the center, so a centered structure. And then we take drops out of the water, and then we take photographs, and then we look at them. Then we see the left column. You see the tap water, 3 tap water photographs, and you see the center is empty. And on the right side you see a column, and all the 3 photographs you see the center is structured. And what does this mean? This means that we are able, with our brain, with our thoughts, to change the structure in the water. Another interesting experiment for us was to test whether our thoughts can be shielded by a metal structure, or a mu metal structure which shields all electromagnetic waves. So we test whether our thoughts are of electromagnetic nature or of another kind of wave. And for this we built up a Faraday cage, which is standing here, and we took 3 probes of water. One probe was over there, this little glass, which is far away from the Faraday cage, and one is outside here, close to the Faraday cage, and one is inside the Faraday cage. And this one is shielded now when I close the cage. And now I do the same experiment as we did before, with a very strong mind concentration. I concentrate me on these bottles of water and ask for a change in the structure of this water. And the test is whether also the inside bottle changes the structure. The test is whether this is shielded or not. And of course, this other bottle, which is so far away, should not change at all. And here now you see the result of the test. Again, you see the Faraday cage here, the bottle outside, the bottle inside. And the first photograph to the left shows the reference water. You see no structure at all. And the bottle outside the Faraday cage has already a structure in the center, but to our most surprise, the probe inside the Faraday cage has also a structure in the center. So this means this Faraday cage, made from mu metal, was not able to shield my thoughts, and so the changes of the structure happen also inside the Faraday cage. It's very interesting to think about what this would mean for us as humans in future. Our worldview distinguishes between natural science and humanities, between the world of the measurable and the world of the unprovable motions. And these unprovable motions are also the feelings. And the world distinguishes between the spirit and the matter, and the shape, the form, and the content of the shape and the form. So everything is built first out of a shape. And then finally, this shape is filled with matter. This we know from any creative process. An architect builds a house. He builds it first by thoughts, by ideas, by his spirit, and then later on he makes drawings, and then later on this house is built and the matter follows. But is this a law in nature that it happens so all the time? So let's test this. So what we did, we take salt water. Take drops of salt water. This was salt water from the Black Sea. And we observed something which we observe very often. So we observed that when the structure is built in the drying drop, first the shape is built, we have the form, and then later on when the drop dries further and further, then the shape starts to fill up with matter, more and more, and finally the shape is filled full up with matter. And this means, even in this creative process of making drops, which seem to be quite simple and quite natural, nature follows this rule that it first makes the shape and then it makes the matter. And if we remember, far back, Lao Tzu in China said, within the form is matter, and above the form is spirit. And so basically he knew already about this rule, which we find now in the drops of water again. And so we have a long row from the spirit to the idea. We have in our mind from the idea to the thought, and from the thought to the shape, and from the shape to the matter. So this means thoughts make things. When we do our experiments every day, we do first reference drops. This is drops made from a very stable water from South America. And these drops look every day the same. And this tells us that our lab is in order. Everything is all right. And we do about 40 of these drops. And we did this once again, and after about 20 of these drops, the door opened and somebody told the experimenter who did these drops about a very sad thing in his family. So a disaster happened, and the experimenter got a big shock, but he wouldn't like to tell this, and he suppressed this shock. But his drops, onwards, all the drops he made later looked like this. And he came screaming to me and said, everything is gone now, I cannot make drops anymore. And so we learned from this that the experimenter is connected to the water in the syringe. And if the experimenter changes his mood drastically, then the water in the syringe changes and the drops change. And what did you learn from this?
Well, thoughts are things. It's very important what you think, because you create your own environment. You are the architect of your life. You are the creator. And what do you learn?
Well, I think for me it's very important that water has a memory and water does communicate. And the oceans and the rivers are not the dividing elements in the worlds. They are just like a big database and store all the information in the water and store it. And sometimes they forget something, because water is also a mode of forgetting. And so if we realize this, and we realize that for the things, then we can make of our world a very nice, very beautiful